Oh my goodness. Circuits are so scary, but they don't have to be. So relax, sit back, and I'll show you how to apply simple logic like if this thing is too much, then do something, or if I don't have enough of something, then do something else. Simple logic. And that's what circuits are for, at least in my gameplay. There's no need to go into like advanced mode. So in this video, I'll show you the basics and I'll give you 5 simple use cases that has helped me a lot, and I think will help you a lot, to not just use circuits, but actually make your factory work better. So let's jump right into it. Let's start with the basics. So for you to get to circuits, you need to research this circuit network, and as you can see, red and green signs basically is very much early game. So the game gives you this capability early on just because it's so powerful, and because with oil that you see on the left hand side here in the corner, which I'll show you in a sec, as one of the use cases, it's super powerful even from the beginning. And once you research that, what you'll see is this stuff, a bunch of combinators, and you see these green and red wires. Why do you need this stuff? Let's figure it out. Okay, simple scenario. I have here 2 chests and an inserter that will move whatever I put in this chest to the other chest. What if I want to add a bit of intelligence? That's where circuits come in, okay? The way to create a circuit network is super simple. The only thing you need is to pick one of these colors. They don't matter, okay? And I'll explain a little bit what this means a bit later. But these colors, they do not matter. It's whatever is your favorite color. Let's go with green, okay? So I want to put some logic on this inserter and say, hey, inserter, you only insert things into this box if this box doesn't have enough. So I want you to consider how many things this box has before you move things into it. So the way I do this is to connect them, meaning click here the green wire, click the box, or I should call it the chest, and then click the inserter. Right, there you go. You created a circuit network with 2 objects or 2 entities, right? Now, how do you make things, do some intelligent stuff? Click the entity where you want to have the decision, lack of a better word, and you'll notice once you put the wire, once you connect things, this tab will pop up when you open the entity menu. And here you can see that you have multiple options here. Let's focus on this one, the enable disable. So what I want is this to be enabled if this box doesn't have enough of something. And I'm going to use something super simple. Actually, I'm going to use, what do I have in my inventory? Let's use landfill. So notice, I'm going to put landfill on the box on the left, and it will automatically start transferring. And I'm like, oh, I don't want that. Okay, I'm going to put alt mode, but I'm going to disable alt mode just because I think it makes the UI a bit cleaner. Like, no, I don't want this. Stop it. Stop it. So I'm going to just to enable filters just to make it stop. Right? While I think about how to make this work, I'm going to grab all the stuff from this chest and this chest. I'm going to empty them again. And now I want to put some logic. I want to say, okay, you inserter, you only do stuff if the landfill, which I don't know, here it is, if you have less than 25, okay? So because I use the wire to connect the inserter and the chest, it will be able to read, the inserter will be able to read the information inside this chest and make a decision. Notice that on this area over here, all you see is the symbol of landfill. Look what happens when I put something in there. I'm going to put like 50. Now I click the inserter again, and look, it shows 50. The inserter knows how many of this item, how much landfill it has. This is the basic, the most fundamental elements of a circuit network. You connect things with wires and they share information. Okay? The game calls these signals. So this information of 50 landfill, the game calls it signals. How can you see how much stuff is in the circuit network? Well, in this case, the only place I have to see is if I open the inserter menu and I see this number here, I will know it's circuit network. But the easiest way to do this is if you connect the circuit network to a power pole. So for example, I'm going to connect it here. And now notice that under the power pole on the right hand side, you have a new section with information called signals. You see? It shows 50. Now let me take some out, right? Now I'm going back to the power pole and look, 25. And this is how the information propagates. And by the way, you can also use radars to transmit this information. And this is how, if I connect from this power pole to this, and this to this, and this, and so on, I can now spread this information, and I can make other entities far away to make decisions based on the information contained within this chest. Make sense? Now I'm going to undo all of this. I just leave it here so we can see what's happening, right? So I'm going to empty this chest, and I want to see if this condition will work. So currently there's nothing here, but look what happens as soon as I put something there. I'm going to put something in this chest, and I'm going to remove the filters, and now it's going to start working. Look at this number. So if I go to the circuit network, look on the right hand side. Oh, it's more than 25. And the reason why it went way above 25 or way above, went to 28, is because the inserter grabs multiple things at a time. So while the condition is true, the inserter will work, and the inserter doesn't really count, if it makes sense. It just grabs whatever because I'm a bit late game now, so my inserter grabs multiple things. It keeps working until the condition is true, which means it might bring some more stuff. Okay? This is 2 for the price of 1, guys, because with circuits, I'm also going to show you how I handle fluids, how I handle this liquid stuff, the advanced oil processing, which is a bit of a pain, and a lot of people have challenges with this. And hopefully by the end of this video, you will think this is easy peasy, lemon squeezy, like my 9-year-old says, okay? So when you go to advanced oil processing, if you notice the recipe, it will produce 25 heavy oil, 45 light oil, and 55 petroleum gas. So all things being equal, meaning if you're consuming all these products at the same pace, which probably you aren't, but just indulge me, petroleum gas will be your bottleneck, meaning once petroleum gas fills up, you will stop producing heavy oil and light oil. And same for the other ones. If you're actually not consuming so much heavy oil, eventually heavy oil, you won't have a place to store heavy oil, and then it will block light oil and petroleum gas, right? So how to deal with this using circuits, which I think, as far as I'm aware, is the only way to properly deal with this. But anyway, I'll show you. Let's focus on the petroleum gas, okay? So I want to make sure that this tank never fills up, so it doesn't block the production of light oil and heavy oil. So what I do is I put a pump, because the pump has the intelligence to enable, disable based on conditions, i.e. based on the circuit. And as we saw on the basics, the way to create a circuit is you click the green wire, you click the thing you want to read information from. So in this case, I want to know how much petroleum gas exists in this tank, and I want the pump to act based on that information. Okay, let me put some power here. It's not going to be pretty, but okay. Okay, like this, okay? But I only want this pump to work, and basically this is like, I want this pump to flush this into something, and this something would be something like turning petroleum gas into fuel, and then this into, and I'll store it here, and this into nothing, just storing it here, okay? So this is working because there is fuel, or there is petroleum gas in this tank, but I don't want it. I need the petroleum gas for other stuff like plastic, right? So I don't want it to work right now. I only want this to work when petroleum gas is above, let's say, 20,000. Because the purpose of this setup is just to control what's happening. Disable. Oh yeah, it still has oil. Okay, I was confused. Why is it still doing stuff? It's because it still has petroleum gas. So soon we'll run out of it because the pump is not working and this thing will stop. There we go. Okay. Look at here. It tells you it's disabled by control behavior. What is controlling the behavior is this condition. And this is only possible because the wire is connected to the tank, meaning there's a signal traversing the circuit network, reaches the pump, and the pump can then make a decision. See? And you can do the same for others. So you want to say, okay, if I have too much light oil or if I have too much of heavy oil, again, burn it off. Burn it into fuel, and then it's easier to burn this fuel, for example. And you can do, I'll show you how I did it in my scenario here. Ultimately, you will need to choose what do you want to, let me change this. What do you want to prioritize in terms of production? And that's where circuits come in. Very handy. Hope this makes sense. Let me just put all the thing here. So these ones don't have any intelligence, so let's just add intelligence. So I'm connecting the tanks to the pumps, and what I'm doing now is going to do the light oil. Only if light oil is above 20,000, you burn it off. Only if heavy oil is above 20,000, you burn it off. So you'll see that there's a red light here on the left hand side. It's a visual cue to say that this is disabled. The only reason why this is working again is because it's already at some fuel. Okay, and this is how you control fluids. You can do something more complicated than this. I haven't found the need. Let me show you how I did it in my own factory. Okay, so I have a circuit condition here that turns heavy oil into light oil. And light oil, basically, I'm prioritizing light oil in this my strategy, let's say. So I'm saying here, I'm connecting. Let me zoom in a little bit. I'm connecting these storage tanks into the pump, and I say, hey, leave at least 5K worth of heavy oil, right? Don't burn it all off. Why? Because I will need it for the lubricant. Okay, so I want to make sure I always have some spare for lubricant. And then you see here, I then turn heavy oil into light oil, which then gets fed into this. And I have another condition here that says you only turn light oil into petroleum gas if there is not enough petroleum gas. And that's working for me. The reason why everything is stopped is because I have plenty of everything, so it's okay. But this is how I tweak my factory, depending on how I want to prioritize the fluid processing. Just by, you see, I have no combinators. You see this complicated stuff here? These combinators, I need none of them. Okay, it's a very simplistic approach, but it works, guys. Okay, now let's jump into the next use case. This one is more a nice to have than a must have. And the reason why I'm saying this is because nuclear power or nuclear fuel, I've never had a situation where it was a challenge. But sometimes, especially in the beginning where you're not producing too much, it might help that you manage the fuel consumption. This requires a bit of understanding on how these reactors work. So the way the nuclear reactor work is it consumes fuel. The fuel heats up the nuclear reactor. The heat spreads across these pipes, these heat pipes, into the heat exchangers, which then create steam, and the steam is used to generate power. Okay? But if you notice here on the steam turbine, on the right hand side, the minimum temperature needed to generate electricity is 500 degrees Celsius. What this means is that at this stage, why am I feeding fuel, right? Why am I making this 1,000 when I don't need it to be 1,000? And now what I do is I connect if you see these green wires here, I connected both reactors to the inserters because I want the inserters to only insert fuel if the reactors come below a certain temperature threshold. And once you connect these with this wire, so I only have, you see, one wire from here to here, another from here to here, another from here to here. So basically these four entities are all connected. This is a circuit network, basically, of four components, two reactors and two inserters. And once I do that, this thing pops up on the right-hand side. And what I'm doing is, I'm saying, okay, give me your temperature. Send your temperature into the circuit network. And because the signals are cumulative, meaning it will be this signal plus this signal, what the inserter sees is a total. So this is the combined temperature. Let me scroll to the, drag this to the left. This is the combined temperature of these reactors. So the more reactors I had, let's say I have even a more complex setup, then this T, which is the signal that represents the temperature, this would be much higher number. So going back to the logic where I need at least 500 each, so I need at least 1,000 for both. I'm kind of averaging it out, right? So I need to make sure that these two temperatures combined are at least 1,000, because that will tell me that each reactor will have at least 500 temperature that will then propagate across the pipes into the turbines and into electricity, if it makes sense, right? So I want my inserters to only enable if the temperature goes below a certain threshold. So I want to give it a bit of margin of error. So I could have put 1K, 1,000 degrees, but I give it a little bit extra just for, like a buffer, like a protection buffer, okay? And that's it, guys. I just connected a wire. I clicked the reactor, clicked the read temperature so this information goes into circuit network, went to the inserter, and I gave it the logic I wanted. Simple, easy peasy, lemon squeezy. Hope it makes sense. Let's go to the next use case. Since we're talking about nuclear, let me show you another thing. This again is another nice to have if you want to control things like the production of uranium. What's the number? I always forget. 235. So if you reach the nuclear bit, oh, by the way, everything I'm telling you guys is applicable to vanilla or the DLC version, okay? This is like the most basic that applies to any version of the game, really, okay? So what I wanted to do in this scenario is, if you look at the recipe of Kovarex enrichment process, basically it gets 40 uranium-235, 5 uranium-238, and it produces a little bit less of uranium-238 and a little bit more of uranium-235. And that's why it's typically, it's useful to have like a loop so that the output will also be used to the input. And then what you want to do is this excess, you see that technically you're turning uranium-238 into uranium-235, so you get like an extra uranium-235, and you want to save that one excess somewhere, and at the same time, because you're consuming uranium-238, eventually you'll run out of uranium-238, so you want to feed it, but you don't want to overflow this belt, because then this belt will stop working, okay? And so how do you do this, or how I suggest you do it, or at least I'm showing you how I do it, is by using circuits to read the contents of the belt. You'll notice there's like this yellowish border, and make a decision based on that. I.e., am I going to put things in or take things out? I'm using these logistic chests. I'll probably make another video about logistic networks, because that's another topic that causes confusion. Again, I found a very simple way to deal with this. But just for this example, where we're focusing on circuit networks, the blue chests bring things in, the red chests take things out. Okay? I think that's the easiest way to, if you're not familiar with logistic networks. So this chest is asking for uranium-238, and this chest is asking for uranium-235. And what I did is I connected this belt, this whole belt, to the circuit network. How did I do that? Let me ruin everything I did. Actually, no, I don't want to ruin this. I'm going to create another one here. So let me just do something super basic. I am going to create a simple loop like this, right? So if I want this inserter to only insert things, no, actually, no, sorry, I said it would be step by step, right? So let me do that. Okay, so I want this one to be putting things in and this one taking things out. And I'm going to steal some of this. And let me steal some of this. And let me steal some of this. Okay, let's use these spicy rocks here. So I want to put, actually, I should only need just one thing. Oh, where did I, oh yeah, of course, because I have trash. Enable, bear with me, let's just grab one type. Let's grab this one. So, actually I'm going to create a circuit condition first. So I want this inserter to only insert things in this belt if there's not enough of them, okay? So, like with the other objects, all you need to do is click with the wire selected, click what you want to read. In this case, I want to read the belts, and where do you want the decision to be made? In this case, I want the inserter to make a decision. Notice that there's a difference here. This belt has all this yellowish border, where this one only has this bit here. So what this is doing is this is only reading this section of the belt, not the whole belt. So if I want to read the contents of the whole belt, you need to click here and then here. You see, visually you get this indication that these yellow borders, that now all the contents are being read. Okay? And so what I want is if there is not enough, what is uranium? Should be here. Somewhere here. Okay. If uranium is less than 5, then you put it in. So in this case, as soon as I put something in this box, it will put, there we go. Now the other one is being naughty because it's taking things out, okay? I don't want that. I only want it to take things out if it's above a certain number. So let's say, I don't have the circuit network here on the right hand side because I did not connect to the wire. So I'm going to connect this one to here and say, hey, be smart, dude. If you only pick things up if it's greater than 6. Okay? And that's it. So now I keep a constant 5 here. Okay? And this is what the same logic I'm using here. Because what would happen is this machine will dump stuff into the belt, will increase the count of items in the belt, and will activate this guy. Let me show you here. So if I have more than 100, it will grab it. Does that make sense? Same logic. And this, again, it's a nice to have. Like I said, I don't really need those uranium 235 much, but the example here, or the use case here, is if you want to control the volume of stuff in a belt, this is a very easy, simple way to use circuits to achieve that goal. And now to the next use case. Let's talk about belts. So, one key use case is if you have the space age DLC, you'll notice that space platforms introduce some challenges. One of the things I typically do is and I think most people will need to do it, is to have sushi belts, which basically means belts that that hold more than one type of material. For example, if you see here, there's multiple stuff in this belt. There's ammunition, there's raw materials, there's all sorts of things going on here. And similarly to the Kovarex example, I want to control how much stuff is on this belt, right? And it's very similar where, in this case, I want to get rid of excess stuff. I want to throw things out, which is what you see here. So I have a very simple condition. Again, connect the wire to the belt, configure the belt to read everything, or configure the circuit connection to read the whole belt. Then connect via the green wire to the inserter and say, hey, inserter, if there's more than X, kick things out. For example, here, there's 97, it's not working. Eventually there will be more, like now you see there was a big jump, and now every time it grabs one of these things, it throws it out. Simple. I'm not going to spend too much time on this use case, but just to give you an example of how belt control is so useful. And again, this is just for the Space Age DLC, but like I showed you, if you want to control the flow of stuff in belts, circuits can be super, super useful. Let's take this up to another level, shall we? Still simple, but just bear with me because I'm going to introduce a new component called decider combinator. There's multiple types of combinators. There is the arithmetic combinator, decider combinator, which is the only one I use really, and it's the one I'm going to show in this use case. The selector combinator, constant combinator, power switch, other stuff. This is, I sometimes use the speaker and the display panel occasionally, but the main bit that I want to focus on is a decider combinator. So what is a decider combinator, and more importantly, why do I need it? Before I answer both questions, just to show you quickly, please don't be scared, okay? This will make sense, I promise, in a couple of minutes, right? This use case is that the way I play the game, let me zoom out a little bit, is that I like to create this large border, if I can call it that, or circle of protection, of security perimeter, so I can basically expand my factory whichever way I want. Meaning I don't want to worry about biters, basically. Unfortunately, in this map, you have some good choke points. So what I do is I put these like military outposts just on these choke points with some walls and turrets and stuff. And when the biters attack it, I want to have an easy way to supply it with whatever is needed. Bullets, walls, whatever. And you can see here, I have this small, and I think this is simple. Hopefully you'll agree with me by the end of this video. This is very simple to set up, where this decider combinator is needed to process multiple signals that I'll explain in a sec. And then if anything is missing, so if I need walls or bullets or repair packs or whatever this is called repair packs? Yeah, repair packs. It will then use the train station to call, between brackets, a train, and then the train will come and deliver the goods, and then it goes back to its loading station, which was what I was showing you. Actually, I shouldn't do this because I was preparing an area here. I'll show you in a sec. And this is basically the loading area that has a bunch of decision. This is overcomplicated, okay? The example I'm going to show you is a simplified version of this, okay? But the logic is, you need the military outpost needs supplies, wherever. The circuit network sends a signal to say, hey, I need supplies, give it to me, and then the train is dispatched and delivers the goods, and then it goes back to its train station, and so on, okay? So I created here a small testing area that I'm going to show you, and I'm going to build this step by step so I can show you how easy it is. My version is a bit more complicated because I just added more stuff, but it's 99% based on what I'm going to show you. So let's start by understanding what is a decider combinator. So if you remember, when you put a inserter, and if you connect the inserter to whatever, I'm going to connect this inserter to the power pole, the inserter can only consider one signal or one source of information, right? So I can decide which variable I want to use, but it only has one variable, right? What if I want multiple? I.e., in my outposts, I need walls, I need bullets, I need stuff, so I want to create some intelligence around multiple variables. That's where decider combinators come in, because here on the left-hand side, you can have multiple stuff and you can create or ands between them. So if I have this and this or the other thing, then do something. Okay, so it's a bit an extra step in complexity, but it's exactly the same logic. It's just that instead of combining one signal to make a decision, or using one signal, you have multiple signals. Okay, hope it makes sense. Another thing that this introduces is the concept of input and output, and you can visually see this. Let me put this a bit in another place. By these yellow arrows, this is the input because it's pointing towards the machine, the combinator, and this is output because it's pointing outwards. Okay, so I want as input signals the contents of these boxes, because I'm going to put materials here that I want to feed into the military outposts, right? And I want to make sure there is enough so that the train can take to the outposts, if it makes sense. So what I want to do is something like this. I want to read the contents. I want to make sure that this wagon contains the quantity of materials I need. So far, let me take this thing out. So far, I don't need the cider combinator. Why? Because each box will be responsible for its own material. I'm actually going to put a filter here. So this one will be responsible for supplying walls, and this one's going to be responsible for supplying green bullets. Okay, so this simplifies my setup because I don't want to overcomplicate this. So I put the decision of what material to process at the inserter level, and that's enough. Okay, now the other thing is I want this inserter to only insert if the wagon needs it. So I need to read from the wagon. And this is the first curveball here. This bit is not the curveball, it's the next bit. So the first bit is to connect the train station, not the train, because you can't. You see that says that red cross. You can't connect to the train, but you can connect to the train station. And you connect the train station to this inserter, okay? Now that the inserter can read from the train. In this case, I wanted to read the walls. It has no number here, if you remember. The numbers, if this is connected to the logistic network, it will show the quantity. It doesn't have any number because it's 0. If I put something here inside the wagon, let's see if something will show up. So I have walls in the wagon. Nothing shows up here. Odd. The reason is that you need to tick this box, read train contents, because it might not be unticked, but that's not just it. Because the train is not automatic, technically it's not at the station, because the station can only read the train contents if the train is currently stopped. You see on the tooltip there, the train needs to be stopped. Technically, it's not stopped because it's not automated. So I need to create a schedule. So let's do that. So this station is called load supplies, and I'm going to create a manual waiting at the stop. Okay, so this basically triggers the train to stop there. Let's see if this worked. Yep, now we can read. There's 24. It now can read. Okay, this took me a long time to figure it out, guys. So hopefully you find this extremely useful because this was the biggest challenge. Like, how the heck can I read things from the train? This is why. Okay, and I want to do the same for the bullets. In this case, I'll just connect one inserter to the other because now these three objects, the station, this inserter for walls and inserter for bullets, they all belong to the same circuit network. Okay, and I want to do this as well, like so. There's no bullets there. I'm just going to drop a few, 12. And now here it should show the number 12. Perfect. So this step, hopefully it makes sense, right? So I'm reading the contents of the wagon and I can make a decision on them. And the first decision is, how many walls do I want? I want this guy to, as long as it's less than 100. Actually, less or equal. Is it less or equal? Yep. So I want basically it to have 100, at least, basically. Same for the bullets. I want this at least 100. Okay. But okay, I have nothing here. So let's put this stuff here. Let's put this stuff here. Okay, and now this is going to work fine, right? This is going to fill this up. Maybe I should speed this up. I'm going to put the fast inserters so it's a bit faster. Okay. It puts a little bit more, as I explained in the previous one. My inserters put a lot of stuff at the same time, so it's not precise, but I don't need precision for the stuff I'm doing here, and probably neither will you. Okay, so this is working. It now stopped putting things inside the wagon. So far, so good. But now what? I want this train to only stay here until this wagon is full. So I want a decider combinator to make that decision for me. So I want this guy to read the contents from the train, and for that, as we discussed, needs to connect to the train station, to the input signal here on this arrow pointing towards the combinator, and I want it to read how much stuff it has. Cool. So when both, meaning and, when both the walls are greater or equal than 100, and the bullets are also greater or equal than 100, then this train is ready to go. And I'm going to choose a symbol, whatever, doesn't matter what it is. Okay, this is just if you know a little bit about programming or maths, this is a variable. So this variable I'm going to choose, which can be a symbol, a letter, a number. Like this number is not an actual number, it's just a symbol. Okay, I'm going to choose this symbol because I think it conveys a message, and I want this symbol to store the value of 1. As you can see here, this is true because both the conditions are true. That's what the AND sign means. Both conditions are true, then this is true. If it was OR, any of these would trigger this. For example, I'm going to put a bigger number here. This is false. This is true. An OR symbol means, or a logic operation here means that there is still an output. If I change this to an AND, the output will not be sent because this will not be true. You see, the output signal disappeared because the AND means both conditions need to be true. So I'm going to put it back as it was. I hope you're with me, okay? So I'm setting this. Now what do I do with this? So the decider combinator is clever because it can consider more than one signal, and it then gave me another signal, an output signal, and now I can do something with this. What do I want to do with this? I want to go to the train and say, Mr. Train, you wait here until you're full, meaning you wait here until the circuit condition equals, hang on, because if I do this, the train will disappear. So I don't want it to disappear. I'm going to manipulate this. I'm going to just pretend this is 400, okay? So that it does not send anything. But what I want the train to do is, until the circuit says you're good to go, and good to go means this variable equals 1, you stay here and wait. Make sense? Because I want it to fill up. Okay, now I should be able to do it. And now I will put the correct value here. And as soon as I put the destination, this train will disappear from here. Oh, this is cool. Why isn't this working? God, I got confused myself. You see how much of an expert I am. Why isn't this working? Because I did not connect the output to this. So actually no signal is being sent to the train. Now when I click here, the output to the train stop, it should work. I'm betting everything on this, guys. If this fails, I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm going to delete this video and create one again. Let's see. Okay. Phew. Okay, I do know more or less what I'm talking about. Okay. Oh, goodness. That would be super embarrassing, wouldn't it? Anyway, just to recap quickly, two signals are being considered. As soon as there's enough stuff on the train, this signal gets sent out to the output, which is the missing link. So I had to connect this to this. Once the train stops, it reads the signal, and the signal triggers this wait condition. Off it goes. Now it's going back and forth because I still didn't put any logic on the other part. So let's do that. Okay, let's do that. I actually come here and then stop there, or stop in the middle. Okay, so this one seems to work. Okay, now this one. So I want this station. This would be an example of the outpost. I want this station to consider the number of materials it has. So I'm going to put here these two inserters. The only thing I'm going to do here is just to filter the type of material so that each box only has one type of stuff. Otherwise the wagon will just dump things wherever. And I don't want that. I want each box to have its own thing. And now what decision do I need to make here? So I want to make sure that these boxes have enough materials. So if in the loading area, I want to make sure the wagon has enough materials, for the destination stop, I want to make sure that the boxes or the chests have the enough materials. So in this case, I want these two boxes as inputs. So click here, and click on the input here. And it should read. It doesn't appear anything here because there's nothing there. So I'm going to put something in there. Oh goodness. No, it's the other way around. Jesus. Guys, I know it doesn't look like it, but I do know what I'm talking about, okay? Trust me, bro. Ultimately, it doesn't matter how you get there as long as you get there, meaning as long as it works, it's good, okay? And I'll show you that this works, okay? Just bear with me. So as you can see, I connected these two, and it's now showing as input signals, because if it's 0, it doesn't show anything, okay? And again, I want to create a condition, which is if both have at least 100, we're good to go. Same for the bullets. And in this case, I want to use a different symbol. I want to use the tick box. Yeah, it's good. Doesn't have a thumbs up, so send this. Because none of them is true, no signals at all. Okay. And so what I want to do with this, when this is true, what do I want to do with this? Who needs to know that it's good? Well, the train does. And how do we send a signal to the train? Is via the train stop. So I'm going to connect the output, which I forgot earlier. Let's forget it happened. To the train stop. And we need to make sure that the send to train is done. Okay. What this will enable me to do is, on the schedule, I will say you stay on that stop until the circuit condition tells you it's good to go, meaning that check symbol equals 1. Does it make sense? Let's see if this actually works. Let's see. So it's loading. Now it should stay here until, oh god, I need to put the fast inserters. Until both these conditions are true. Although this did give me a chance to stare at it. Let's see. So it's almost there. It should show that. There you go. Yay, I got it right the first time this time, guys. See, I'm also learning with myself. Hopefully you are too. And now it's going to go back and forth because it's always true. And so the wait is like a microsecond. We don't want this, right? So I want to add a little bit more intelligence. Again with circuits. So let me stop this train because I'm going to go mad. Okay. So what I want to do is to have stop. Okay. So I want the stop to stop. I don't think I'm making a good job of explaining this, guys. Apologies. But bear with me. I hope you take something good out of this because I'm not sure I'm making a good job explaining. But anyway, it's working, okay? I want this stop to be disabled if everything is okay. So if everything is okay, don't work. Yeah, this is what I'm saying. Meaning if this is different than 1, meaning it's not okay, then you enable. It's currently disabled. Why? Because everything is okay. And what does it mean, everything being okay? According to the decider combinator, everything is okay because I have enough quantities of both materials. So everything is okay, it shuts itself down based on this condition. Does it make sense? Let's see if it works, actually. So it should stay here sleeping. There we go. Why is it sleeping? Because there's the destination stop, you see. The destination, this one, is not working. So by default, the train has nowhere to go. It gives you that sleeping symbol. Whew. Does it make sense, guys? This is the last use case. I hope it makes sense. If not, if I messed this up, let me know in the comments below. I promise I'll fix it in another video if needed. Okay? Hope you've found this useful. Let me know if it did on the comments below, because yeah, I was struggling with this for so much time. And these use cases, this is basically 90% of how I use circuits is in these 5 use cases. There are some other niche use cases that, you know, sometimes I use circuits here and there, but these are the key ones that are extremely useful to me, and I hope they are useful to you as well. Thanks for watching, and now just go and play, and hopefully this will be useful. Bye.